Okay, welcome everyone. We'll call the meeting to order here, our first meeting of the Senate State and Local Government Committee. And Madam Secretary, if you can call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Here. Senator Elkins.
Present.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Here.
Senator Storm. Senator Thayer.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Williams.
Here.
Senator Nemes.
Present.
Senator Mills.
I'm here, and we have a quorum. Before we get started, I want to just take a moment to introduce our committee staff here. That, just so you know, because we had Alicia Miller retired, and so Alicia's replacement is Daniel Carter. Daniel's our new committee staff administrator, and he's been on the job for several years already, learning the job. And we also have on our committee staff Brad Gross is a committee staff administrator, pension guru. Michael Clancy is a legal analyst, legislative analyst. Jennifer Hans is an analyst and also pension expert. Shannon Tubbs is an analyst, and also we have to my right, Angela Rhodes is our committee assistant. So great staff, LRC staff. If any of the members need assistance, they're found here on the first floor. We also have two new members to our committee, and the new majority member is Senator Greg Elkins to our left here, and then our new minority member is Senator Cassie Chambers Armstrong. We're glad to have both of y'all. Thank you so much. All righty, we'll dive right in. We've got several bills already for this committee meeting. We'll start with Senate Bill 10. Senator McDaniel's bill. This is an act proposing amendment to Section 95 of the Constitution of Kentucky related to elections of state officers. Senator McDaniel, if you can introduce yourself, and the floor will be yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris McDaniel, State Senator for Senate District 23. Mr. Chairman, I should start by noting that there is no time limit on a good idea. Last night when I was sitting at the dinner table, I realized that one of my sons, who's now 10, was not yet born when I first proposed this bill. So we will continue to work on it. And, I'm someone who believes in not wasting time and being frugal. So I actually still have my original notes. And I'm going to speak today because the issue's not really changed a whole lot, other than the years affiliated with it. It's been said by Robert Hutchins that the death of democracy is not likely to be an assassination from ambush, but rather it'll be a slow extinction from apathy, indifference, and undernourishment. That's ultimately what this bill is about today, Mr. Chairman. This bill, Senate Bill 10, moves constitutional elections to even-numbered years starting in 2032. What this will do is dramatically increase the number of voters who participate in a constitutional election year, and also save the Commonwealth nearly $2 million and counties over $15 million. At a time of tough budgets and when every level of government continues to look for ways to find funding, this is a significant way to be able to help those counties and also to ensure that we have more people participating in our democracy. But an even more practical reality relates to the everyday voter, who I'm sure in Kentucky greatly enjoy 3 solid years of campaigns that we go through. But if you talk to the average voter, who, mind you, is not a voter first, but instead are fathers and mothers, a professional in manufacturing and teaching, and generally those who, quite frankly, don't love hearing about politics, and if you ask them, would you enjoy a year free from political ads interrupting the Kentucky basketball game, Monday Night Football, or whatever program they're trying to enjoy during their time off, and most importantly, during the time with your families, I think this constitutional amendment would probably pass pretty soundly. But Mr. Chairman, although we say that somewhat half-heartedly, the reality is we need to improve the participation in our democracy, and Senate Bill 10 will do exactly that.
Okay, we have a motion by Senator Wheeler, a second by Senator Elkins. Any comments or concerns from the committee? Any questions? All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong.
I'd like to explain my no vote, Mr. Chair.
You may.
I vote no, and I want to thank the senator for his persistence. I certainly admire sustained effort. I looked into this issue a little bit, and the first year that we had our constitutional elections in a non-presidential year was 1851. And when the framers of the 1851 Constitution made that change, they spoke particularly about the need for us to have an election focused on Kentucky issues in Kentucky, and about the need to get rid of some of the confusion about allowing national issues to infiltrate our Kentucky elections. And as I think about it, I think that the need for that has only increased over time in the 176 years since we've been doing it this way, as opposed to decrease. Nowadays, with national division, with presidential elections lasting for years and eating up the airwaves, I think it's really important that the people of Kentucky have space to focus on Kentucky issues and the issues that impact us here in the Commonwealth. And so for that reason, I'm a no today, but I certainly appreciate your ongoing and sustained effort on this. Thank you.
Senator Elkins. Yes. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Nemus. Senator Storm. Senator Thayer.
I'd like to explain my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
I vote aye. A longtime supporter and co-sponsor of Senator McDaniel's bill. I'd like to note that it's always good for Senator Chambers Armstrong, who has an important matter before the committee of the sponsor of this bill, that it's always good to explain why you just voted no on his signature piece of legislation. Well done, you. I'm going to take the exact opposite approach to this of my esteemed colleague from Jefferson. People are getting less and less interested in our statewide races. Turnout was down over 8% this year in 2023 than it was in 2019. There was more money spent on the campaign for governor this year than any statewide campaign for constitutional office in Kentucky history. And I think the people are voting with their feet by staying home. They're just not interested. And I think one way to get them interested is put these races on the ballot when probably 20% more of them are already coming to vote. What better way to get them focused on state issues than put the races in a year where they are already interested and already coming to vote? There clearly is voter fatigue out there, as Chairman McDaniel said, with elections 3 out of every 4 years. It's time we put this on the ballot where it will pass. I'm quite assured by a wide margin if the people of Kentucky get an opportunity. So thank you, Chairman McDaniel. I proudly vote aye and look forward to you carrying this on the floor in the very near future.
Senator Wheeler.
Mr. Chairman, I'll vote aye and explain.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with the comments of my esteemed colleagues, Senator Thayer and Senator McDaniel. This is a good bill. I had the privilege of voting for it the last time. I wished it had gotten passed. Not only would it have saved the taxpayers millions of dollars, but as Senator Thayer rightfully said, I think a lot more people would have been involved in the process, and we would have had perhaps a more valid outcome based upon the true feelings of the voters in Kentucky. So I think this is a good bill. I'm confident that the voters of Kentucky will see the efficacy of this amendment to the Constitution. I want to thank Senator McDaniel for bringing this.
Senator Williams.
I'd like to vote aye and explain my vote.
Yes, you may.
I was in office when we voted every year on that. And the majority at that time was strongly in favor of moving the constitutional officers, the local officials, who I think are more important to us than the president, actually, to the even years, even though it made those even year ballots much, much larger. Moving 6 officers to this even year, presidential year, is not going to significantly increase the confusion, but it will, I believe, significantly increase the participation and the cost savings. Their major agreement that everybody agreed on was cost savings. Why do we, for 6 offices, go through the entire process of having an election. And it just is not cost effective. It wasn't cost effective for the county offices. It's not cost effective for just 6 offices statewide. So that's why I vote aye, and I can concur with the majority from that day, and I think the people of Kentucky as well.
Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Bill 10 passes with favorable expression 7-1. Thank you, Senator McDaniel. Next item is Senate Bill 17. This is sponsored by Senator Deneen, and Senate Bill 17 is an act related to the certificates of death. Senator Deneen, if you have any guests with you, if you can pull them up to the table and introduce them. We can get another chair if there's another. Pull up a chair. If you can introduce your guests, and the floor is yours. We'll limit our testimony to about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes or so. Just
Thank
to
you, Mr. Chairman.
Cover the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee members. I'll allow my guests to introduce themselves.
I'm Jimmy Pollard. I'm Executive Director for the Kentucky Coroners Association.
I'm Pat Elmore. I'm Hardin County Coroner.
I'm Shayna Norton, Deputy Coroner, Hardin County.
Mr. Chairman and committee members, Senate Bill 17 is not a constitutional amendment, so I don't think it's as impactful maybe on that level, but it is very impactful for the amount of paperwork that we're requiring our county coroners to do. Senate Bill 17 is really a cleanup bill, and it gives those that are dealing with the deaths of their loved ones or investigations of those involved in violent crimes that our coroners deal with every day. What this bill does, it eliminates having our county coroners fill out 2 death certificates. One at the beginning with the death of the individual as pending, unknown, while they send off the bodies to KSP or to crime labs for forensics or for DNA testing or for autopsies. The current statute says they have 5 days to issue a death certificate. There's no way in the world to get all of that done in 5 days and to be realistic to the families or to protect the county coroners from litigation if they don't meet those 5 days. These things are out of their control when they send them off to these labs for studies. Of course, our labs and our technicians are also backed up, and so there is a waiting list to get these things done. So simply what this does is it just gives our coroners the opportunity to establish that there is still an investigation underway and that the final and death certificate will be given at that time, not 2. Because right now when they give the first one that says it's unknown, they have to send that off to Vital Statistics. Vital Statistics has to handle that one. And then in 4 to 5, 6 weeks later, they fill out another one giving the exact cause of death. So you're causing Vital Statistics to do twice the amount of paperwork and our county coroners twice the amount of paperwork for no benefit to either family or the coroners. So if they say, I've had some questions about whether or not this bill would help with recovering of benefits for those that pass away. No insurance company, folks, is going to give any benefits to anybody on an unknown death certificate. So, when that happens, then that's a concern. So I get that, but what they're not going to issue money and then have to come back 6 weeks later and say we need to reclaim that because it was not a homicide, it was a suicide. So we need those ballistic tests to have that solidified. So that avoids that from happening. So would you have anything to add, Mr. Pollard?
Not a thing.
We're good, thanks.
All right. All right. If there's any questions from committee members, I'll be glad to entertain those, and we'll try to have these folks answer them.
We have a motion from Senator Thayer, a second from Senator Armstrong, and question and comment from Senator Wheeler.
Well, I just want to thank the sponsor for bringing this bill. Actually, I helped on a situation with that. I think everybody recalls a couple years ago where the officers in Floyd County were killed in that shootout, and due to some delay where the ballistics, I think, actually had to be sent to West Virginia for some reason or another. I think that's maybe where the guy died after he was taken to St. Mary's there on emergency surgery. I mean, the benefits coming into the household were held up for nearly 6 months with no income coming in. I mean, and but for some charity in the community, you know, this family who was already grieving from this loss was already having a very hard time. So I want to thank you for bringing this bill to expedite this and get help for these people.
Any other comments from the committee? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Nemus. Senator Storm. Senator Thayer. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. We're good. Senate Bill 17 passes with favorable expression, 9-0. Thank you for your time and efforts on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item is Senate Bill 57, and this is Senator Higdon's bill. This is an act related to leased office space for Kentucky Public Pension Authority and declaring emergency. So as soon as you get all your experts sitting there with you, Senator Higdon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. Senate Bill 57 will permit the Kentucky Public Pension Authority, KPPA, to lease office space in Louisville for its investments office of investments for up to 5 years, with the option to renew to a maximum term of 20 years with board approval. This has been vetted before KPPA. I've received no comments or opposition to it. KPPA currently, or up until last year, till the pipes froze up and it was the office was unusable. They've had an office in Louisville for years. This office replaces that office and with a smaller footprint. Reason we're here today, back several years ago, 2017, the Defender of Democracy, Joe Bowen, worked very diligently to get the retirement system covered under 45A, the model procurement. So that's why we're here, is to have this approved. And Mr. Chairman, we're glad to entertain any questions. And I also want to mention that I have Dave Eager, Executive Director of KPPA, and Rebecca Atkins, the Deputy Executive Director.
Senator McDaniel has a question.
So I understand that we put them under model procurement code. Why would we exempt them from that now?
I guess we're kind of bypassing 45A for expediency. They need that office now. If I understand it right, it's quite a long process to go through the finance and to get these leases approved.
Yeah, admittedly, and we've been working with Finance Cabinet, and Rebecca can speak more to that. She's at a recent meeting, but admittedly, they are short-staffed. It's going to take a long period of time for us to be able to execute a lease, find the property, and this frees us up to not be inhibited by that. So, Rebecca, speak to the this is not a end-running finance. This is kind of a dual path, which they have agreed to and support.
Yeah, we're actually working still with Real Properties, trying to find the appropriate space. Drafters are what they were short-staffed on, so our staff has been out of that office since Christmas Eve of 22. We finally gave up on the lease altogether when in June we were still with toilets on the outside of the building, that kind of thing, 6 months later. We had certificate of occupancy, so that alone couldn't end the lease, so we just chose to give the 30 days notice and end that lease. So in February of 23, we started working with finance, and at the time they just didn't have any drafters. They searching diligently, looking for it, but they didn't have it. So that's one of the steps that they have to take with Real Properties, is once you get all your bids You have to draft any changes to those properties, and they have to do it on everybody who would respond in a bid, and so they just didn't have that staff at all. In November, we talked with them again, and they're doing it, but we've already been 12 months without office space, and it will take a minimum of at least 9 more months, is what Real Properties is suggesting to us.
So it's taking by my quick math, it's taking the division of Real Properties in this administration's cabinet over 15 months to make an emergency placement for an agency.
They would not consider this an emergency replacement because that was our choice to end that lease. We have certificate of occupancy. There are other state agencies who are in that building.
So if other state agencies can occupy it, why can't you?
Mostly, I didn't want our staff to have to go to the bathroom outside of the building.
I think there's another issue, Senator. We have spent a number of years trying to upgrade the investment operation to become more competitive with other states and the investment industry in general. You all were supportive enough to allow us to raise the cap on salaries. Yeah. Very, very helpful in recruiting and retaining. The other aspect of upgrading is facilities, and we're looking in the next facility to be frankly a better office space. We have the current space that we vacated was below ground, if you will. We have organizations like BlackRock and J.P. Morgan, and bringing numerous people to. We don't have a place for them to meet. Right now, it's hotel space, but I'd like an office that we're proud of. That I'd be proud to bring anybody in from the investment community.
Senator Thayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we pass this bill, it could set a precedent for other agencies bypassing the finance cabinet. Your comments on that?
I can't speak to that, really. I'm only focused on this agency.
Right, but our job is not to focus just on your agency, but on how this could set a precedent for other state agencies. And I'm a little bit concerned with that. Also, if I follow up, Mr.
Sure.
Thank you. What about the cost to the taxpayers on a new lease versus what you've been paying, outside toilets or not? We got to consider the costs to the taxpayer.
Yeah, in the research we've done, we were paying about $11 or $12 a foot. We also had about 4,500 square feet, which we didn't need all of. Looking forward, we're looking at maybe 2,000 or slightly over 2,000. The costs we've gotten from research in Louisville is $19 to $23 a foot. So net is probably not going to be more, but it's I don't mean to have smoke and mirrors here, but we have space right now. In that old facility, we had space that we didn't need. Part of it due to the fact that Zoom came on, Team came on. The need to have a secure off-site space to be able to work has been mitigated by the use of Zoom and other communications.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I might add, it came to us, came to KPPA as an emergency, as something that we needed to do right away, and that's why we're before this committee.
Mr. If I may, Mr.
Senator
Chairman.
McDaniel? Yes.
I spent probably a decade on capital projects and bond oversight. And while that final step was a formality in most of those cases, there's a pretty extensive process that finance goes through in this. And I'm sort of with Senator Thayer, and that's sort of where I was going. And David, I don't think you've ever had an initiative that I wasn't supportive of, because you guys do good work over there. But I don't know how we stop once we open this one up. And I would make a motion for the time being that we delay action on this, so that we can have a little bit deeper conversation before we cast a vote, would be my motion.
Okay, we have a motion to table Senate Bill 57 from Senator McDaniel. Okay. Yep. Any final words, Senator Higney?
No, I'm fine with that, Senator McDaniel. We'll continue this conversation. We just want to make sure that we try to get the KPPA the tools that they need to make good decisions, to make plenty of money for our pension fund. So,
Mr. Eager?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Rebecca said. And we're not trying to end run finance. We've been engaged with them. It's been positive conversations. They would acknowledge that they probably are going to move slower than we need, just out of staffing and other issues. But this is not an end run. It's been a cooperative discussion.
Right. Well, this went through PPOB. I think that it would be prudent to pass over it at this time. Maybe we can get questions answered and try to move things down the path. So we will pass over Senate Bill 57 at this time and hopefully come back to it at a later date.
Thank you.
All right.
thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
You're welcome. All right. Next item on the agenda is Senate Bill 63, which is Senator Williams' bill. Senator Williams, welcome to the committee. And this is an act related to the Information Technology Oversight Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And this is truly a technical amendment. It is being made primarily at the request of LRC so we can get the name of the committee on our website and up on the boards. It was a very long name, and we're simply shortening it. That's all we do. And we change it from a board to a committee. So without objection, I move for passage of.
Got a motion from Senator McDaniel, second from Senator Nemus. Any questions of Senator Williams? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong,
I vote aye and thank the senator for his leadership on this.
Senator Elkins,
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Nemus, Senator Storm, Senator Thayer, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Mills.
I vote aye. Senate Bill 63 passes with favorable expression 9-0. Senator Williams, thank you so much. And our final item on our agenda today is House Bill 161. And this is Representative Branscom's bill. This is an act related to elections and declaring emergency. Representative Branscom, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Senator, or Chairman, and thank you, committee members. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today to talk to you about House Bill 161. This is a bipartisan sponsored piece of legislation which passed the House 94-0 that addresses a potential candidate filing issue that was brought to our attention middle to late last week. After each census, counties are required per statute to conduct reapportionment of their districts to account for population shifts within. This is usually done the year after census data is received. However, as everyone remembers, we were delayed in getting census data, so it pushed back the reapportionment process. But during reapportionment, it is not uncommon to see new precincts established and precincts combined or split and eliminated. And when this process happens, you will frequently see that the precinct name or numbers may change. And that is why we're here today. While the process began in 2023, we learned that a large number of counties have not completed the process. In fact, only 49 of 120 have submitted their reapportionment prior to the opening of candidate filing. And precinct changes have been ongoing throughout the filing period of November 8th to January 5th. And they'll continue to change as more counties complete the process. As you will recall, per KRS 118, when you file for office, it specifically asks for a candidate's precinct as part of the declaration in those nomination papers. If you are from one of the counties whose information is changed due to reapportionment between the November 8th date and the January 5th filing deadline, your precinct name or number could have changed in that period and would not match the candidate paperwork. This bill states that if your precinct changed due to reapportionment within that period, the candidate paperwork is still valid and is not grounds for disqualification to run for the candidate's particular office. Of course, there's strong legal support for the fact that the precinct number does not have any constitutional impact on a candidate's bona fides for running for office. But, as everyone knows, that does not necessarily stop a legal challenge from being filed and putting candidates in the position of having to deal with lawsuits. The goal of this legislation is to foreclose that possibility, and this could potentially affect Democrats, Republicans, challengers, or incumbents. Both the Secretary of State and the State Board of Elections have approved the language, and it is intended to have a retroactive effect and an emergency declared. This is out of an abundance of caution, and we believe this bill, with the explicit retroactive effect and the emergency declared, provides additional protection to all candidates. Mr. Chairman, appreciate the opportunity, and committee members, thank you.
Any questions from members of the committee? Senator Williams, and okay.
So could somebody still bring a challenge and it would just be disqualified? Would there be any difference if we just remove their ability to bring a challenge on these specific items? Somebody sent me some language. We had a brief discussion. I don't want to slow anything up here. I'm just, because this is important to get out and move, but I'm wondering, is there a difference from shall not be disqualified or shall not be subject to challenge? Is that?
This language is specific to the precinct changes that took place during reapportionment.
Right.
And my understanding is some of the things that you had discussed earlier may have been a little bit more broad about challenges and not necessarily specific to just this.
And I'm not talking about that now. I'm just saying the one language here is or subject to challenge. So I can still challenge it, it's just going to be disqualified. I don't know if there's a functional difference, but we can talk offline on that. I'm going to vote this out, but that's just, I can see there's a lot of frivolous law. The language we talked about was dealing with frivolous lawsuits. They can still bring the challenge. It's going to take a judge to disqualify it, and what we're trying to do is not have all this judicial process happen. But
thank you.
That was my question.
Senator Nemes.
Yes, thanks for bringing the bill. I think it should be needless, because if you file properly and things change in the court of law, they should go back and say you filed properly, it's changed it, and that's okay. If it was called J when you filed, then it's J. If it changed to W, then that should be okay. So you're just protecting in case a judge or whatever says, well, that's not right. You're not in J anymore, you're in W, which seems kind of silly, but the bills shouldn't hurt. I do disagree with Senator, my good friend, Senator Williams, is I don't want to stop people from being able to file or contest something. So I don't think we should have a law that says you can't contest something. So what you're doing is saying if you contest it, you're out of line.
Well, strictly to the reapportionment. If you contest
Correct.
strictly to reapportionment.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yes. Thank you.
Senator McDaniel, did you have a question? Okay. Senator Williams, back.
And I was just clarifying it. They should be able to contest it, but not based solely on precinct name or number designation. That's what I was looking at, for the reasons you mentioned, my good friend.
Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion? A motion from Senator Wheeler, second from Senator Nemes. Any questions, comments? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong. Aye. Senator Elkins.
Aye.
Senator Harper Angel. Aye. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel.
Aye.
Senator Nemes. Aye. Senator Storm. Senator Thayer.
Aye.
Senator Wheeler. Aye. Senator Williams. Aye. Senator Mills.
I vote aye. And House Bill 161 passes with favorable expression. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Committee.
And I believe that ends our committee work today. Thank you so much.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We will return. We are adjourned, and we will return.